All right, so let me start the recording. So this is our discussion session. This will be to make sure that you have that connectivity flow in your mind in terms of you explaining the process. So how the data is flowing from your source system to Power BI, and then when you load the data in Power BI, what are the different places you see the data, you see the relationships, and then you do what's the process you follow for visualizing. So we covered about the model view, we covered about the data view, we covered about the report view, and then how we can make use of the filter pane, and then we have the visualization pane, and then we have the field pane. At the top we have the table tool, we have the column tool, and in your model view, so we had a specific session yesterday where we were saying how a raw data or how a source system data is transformed by a data architect by applying the dimension modeling concept. So where he creates a specific business area tables by doing a grouping. So we took an example of employee department data set, and then how it was broken down into two different tables, employee table and then the department tables. And then what's the role of that primary key, the ID, and then how we do the lookup, either using a SQL query or when we bring it into Power BI, we create those relationships. So when in terms of the data flow, so you will have the different source system, and then company want to integrate all the data together, and then first they'll try to stage that data. So staging can be done in SQL Server or with this new Azure data lake. So what companies try to do is they try to bring in all the data into the data lake, and then on top of that, they perform different transformations. So let's say if you're having like a unit price and sales price as an example, and then they want to calculate just the sales and then don't want to get the unit price and then the quantity, and then they can apply that logic in your data transformation process. So after doing the staging, anything you do with the data is called the data transformation. After the data transformation, you load it into your data warehouse. So data warehouse could be any of the relational databases. So it will be mostly all the tables with relationships, the way we discussed yesterday, where we will have a primary key and then we have the foreign key, and then we can have a relationships to pull the data. So you will have two category of tables here. One will be the dimension. So dimension will be what we have seen yesterday, where we have the employee tables. So we were having all the information for the employee. So any text-based information is called um, a, a dimension. And then the fact is you can think of an example like employee salary. So every month they will get a salary, right? So combining all that information together, so that will be your fact data. And then each row will have the employee ID, but not employee name or any other information. So by creating the relationship with the employee ID, so you will be able to retrieve the information. Okay, so this is how you explain, and it's very, very important. And then the other terms, what you have to use is based on the business requirement, you have to build the report. It's not like you are walking into a company and then based on your mood, you're trying to build the visuals. So it will be basically what requirement you get from your manager or what requirement you get from your project manager, stakeholder, or any of the business users. So based on that, you try to build the visuals. Okay. and then you push it to the Power BI service. Got it? So now you should explain me the same process. So let's start here with Murtuza. And I'll write down the notes here and then put it in the group so later you guys can refer. And then if you guys want to make any changes, you can do it. So for our next classes. Okay. Murtuza, if you're talking, you're on mute. Okay, so we can go next. So Atharva, do you want to go next here?
Oh boy, I'll take the next one after this.
Okay, okay,
I'm
got
still
it.
trying to absorb it.
Okay. How about Kurambai?
अस्सलाम बोलिए
No, I'm saying about like let's say you could get a vendor call and they ask you to explain about your experience and then the BI process. So what will
Yes,
be your response?
I would say that about my experience and what's the power power BI, how it's function and where can you import the
No,
data.
Kurambai, one thing what you have to say is you have to say in connectivity.
Yeah, that's why I said Talha, mute karo beta. Yeah, he did. I'm sorry, we were in the same room.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no problem.
Sorry, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is are you talking about the interview, right?
No, I'm saying, so let's say you get a client round and then they ask you about explain me about the process you have used for building the report. Explain me about the end-to-end architecture and how what will you respond for that?
Yeah, I would explain them about the ETL process first thing, right? Like extract the data, transform the data, and the load the data. Is that what?
No. So before jumping on to this session, I try to give a sample, Kurambai. I don't know if you were listening or not. We just explain at a very high level process. So instead of the ETL, we just say data ingestion or data integration.
Uh-huh.
So that's when they would know that you are referring to the ETL process. So in place of a ETL, so if you use data integration or data ingestion, then this will be better.
Okay. Data integration meaning the columns में डालते सब ऊपर निकालना, right? The columns.
No, it's the same thing. So when we let's say we have this source data, okay?
जी. Oh,
Then what we basically do is we bring this data and then we stage this data, right?
right.
Either it will be Azure or
Okay.
on-prem
Yeah. Okay.
or data lake.
जी.
So this process is what called as the data ingestion, okay, data integration process. And then mostly we don't do any transformation. That's
Okay.
the reason I was saying, like we could to be more specific and say that we do data integration or data ingestion, bring it into the staging, and then from there we load it into the data warehouse.
जी.
So again, this could be Azure or on-prem, or it could be the data lake, right?
जी.
And then here, the only difference, what you have when we compare stage to the data warehouse is that in your staging database, this will be very much similar to your source data. So this will be mostly similar to your source data, but the only difference what you will have between your stage and your data warehouse, it's that you're applying dimension modeling, and you will be dimensional modeling, and you will be applying business logic. So when we refer to dimension modeling, it will be a bucket of dimensions and fact. And then business logic is, I gave an example. So changing unit price and quantity to just sales column, sales amount column. Okay.
What is data lake, Mohammed bhai?
So a data lake is a new service provided by Microsoft.
Okay.
This will be very similar to how we store files on our desktop in a folder structure.
Mhm.
So same way, data lake will try to store it, but it will be more in folder structure.
Folders.
So let's say you have marketing data. So
Right.
for marketing data, you will be loading data on a daily basis, right? So either you could have folders at a day level if you're loading it multiple times in a day, if your ETL process is loading it multiple times. Otherwise, you can have like a month level folder, and then within that month level folders, you can have day level files. So it can have multiple types of file in it. And then the good thing is, so let's say if you're doing your processing using the Azure Data Factory or directly pulling it from Power BI, you just have to point to that parent folder, and then it will be able to pick all the files for you. So you don't have to worry about combining those files because the structure of the files will be same, right? So it will
No.
have the same headers and all. Okay.
Ji, ma'am. Ji, ma'am. Instead of having the entire server, we get access to only the uh, folders.
Yeah. So we can have a file level access, folder level access. So it all depends.
Okay. On premise means our own server locally.
On-prem, yes.
Okay.
So,
No, I got it.
and then there could be hybrid environments as well. So few servers could be on-prem, and then few servers could be in cloud.
In cloud. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's the reason I wanted to connect with you offline, Kurambe, because we need to practice
Yeah.
in this
It's
area because once you join, you'll be interacting a lot with your like colleagues in meetings and all. So we have to be very particular about the process because once you know this terminology, you'll be all set.
Definitely. Inshallah, ma'am. I'll make sure, I'll
Okay.
be on
So
to that.
we will be having this regular discussion session. So anything, if you want to clarify later as well, then you can as well.
Inshallah, definitely. Sorry
Okay.
about the.
Yeah. No
Okay.
problem.
Okay. Allah.
All right. So is Murtaza back, or are we continuing?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Basically, as you have asked, what answers you'll give when a vendor is asking you to tell about the process. Initially, the first part I do in Power BI is I collect the data from the available data sources. That might be from any platform or the if the company has the data available in their particular sources. One first thing I'll do that, and that data will be compiled daily, and it will be stored at a particular place. So I'll collect all that data and transform the data with the data modeling, I can say. Yeah, that's it. I am up to this.
Okay. So what you will do on the Power BI side after this?
Yeah, I'll use the data. Uh, I'll pull the data from the data sources, and I'll load and transform the data into the various visualizations that can analyze and give me a better understanding of the project or the business.
Understanding about the project or business. Okay.
Mumbai, we are supposed to basically, when we do the visualizations, we create a dashboard and then we do the visualizations in the dashboard and then we basically publish it in there, right?
Power BI service.
Power BI service for others to look at, and they can, manipulate it. They cannot change it, but they can manipulate it to see how the results change based upon the manipulations.
Yep. So once you have in the data warehouse, they won't be any write operations. They only will be read operations from here. So either it could be a cube or a Power BI report or any of the Excel-based report. The only write operations it will be done from here to here.
So
But
the one who creates, like, let's say if it's us, like as a Power BI developer, if we create the report, only we can change it.
um, yes. So here, when you're at this place in this area, you will be a ETL person. ETL in the sense the data transformation and all. But
Okay.
after this roles, you will be either an analyst or a BI developer. So it will be BI or analyst or any of the power users. But mostly everything here will be read operation, and then you're doing the analysis. Okay.
Okay.
So we can have write database. So either it could be insert or delete all the CURD operations here. And then in the BI and analyst, we have all the read operations. So let me close this and then go in the home tab, change my font color. So few corrections for what you have said here. So collecting the data is good from platforms or sources. So we basically use the term as let me, I think this one, okay. So this will be data ingestion into the source, I'm sorry, into the staging database from source system. So we are saying we are taking the data from source systems and we are loading it into the staging table. So we can either say process runs on a daily basis or ETL runs are on daily basis or data loads on daily basis. Okay. And then we cannot say that it's stored at a particular place. Either we store it in a staging database or in the data warehouse. The process is here.
Sure.
And after that, transforming the data and then data modeling is when you move the data from staging to data warehouse, that's where you apply the data transformation and data modeling. So it will be during this process. And again, when you said about here, you started to explain about the Power BI process. You don't pull it from different sources here because you already completed pulling it from different sources, different source data into the staging, and then you have one combined. This is only one place. Okay, so your Power BI report directly points to your data warehouse. And then you start to build the reports. Okay.
Yes.
So this you have to say pull the required tables from the DWH, that's the data warehouse. And we here, next thing you missed was, so let me mark this as red. This also red. Okay. And then after this, we write the needed DAX logic as per the business user need. Okay. So, and then after that, build the visuals. And then we have this. Basically, it's not a better understanding about the project or business for you. So whatever requirement you get based on a requirement we get, we try to present as visuals. Okay. So these are the key phrases you have to learn: presenting the visual, build a visual, DAX logic, data warehouse, transform the data, data modeling. So anything, any keyword you see here, you could write it down and then
Sure.
practice.
I'll follow.
Yep. And then we publish to Power BI service. Okay. So let me quickly stop the recording. So, and then, so when you're able to see my screen.
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah, so this is the data sources, right? We take this data, we don't have the stage, but we directly are loading into the data warehouse. And then on top of it, we either build a cube or we can directly create the Power BI reports. But once we have the report, we can publish it to the Power BI service. And then we have the app, mobile app and Power BI